So I want to do a little faith talk. It's not a Bible reading, but it is going to be in the Bible playlist. I want to talk about witnessing. I was watching YouTube shorts last night. Went down the rabbit hole, stuck there for a couple hours. I saw one that left a big impression. I'm not sure I could find it again to link it. If I do, I will link it down below. This was not my story, but it reminded me of some other stories, so I wanted to talk about it. So a little recap of this YouTube short was there's a story about a woman who was at, I think, a prayer meeting, and she had prayed to God saying, for the next 30 days, I think it was 30 days, I will do whatever you tell me to do. Okay. She's driving home, and at a stoplight or a stop sign, there was a 7-Eleven. And she got a picture in her mind of standing on her head inside the store. And she thought, well, that was weird. And then here's a voice in her head saying, I thought you would do whatever I said. She's like, oh, all right. Probably thinking it's like really weird, but okay, whatever you say. So she goes into the 7-Eleven and stands on her head. And an employee in the back starts yelling and screaming. And she stands up. She's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she's like, why did you do that? I was just in the back praying that if God really existed, that someone would stand on their head. Otherwise, she was going to go kill herself after her shift. It got to me, and it reminded me of a lot of other stories, either that I've heard or that I know. There was, I went to my friend's church for a little while, and I got to know the pastor there fairly well. And he told this story of a friend of his. I think it was another pastor, but I could be wrong. It's been years. But this guy was planning on going on a trip. And he knew the route that he was going to take, which was not the fastest route. It was not the easiest route. It was not the best way to travel there. But he knew he was going to take that route. And the pastor who's telling this story told him, no, you got to go this other way. A bunch of other people, no, you got to go this other way. And he tells them all, I was like, well, thanks, but I need to go this way. I need to go this way. And while he's on that trip, going the way that God told him to go, he stopped someone from killing themselves. Because he saw it. He saw them from the road. And he pulled over and stopped. And saved their life. Because we never know. Obviously, I cannot attest to any of those stories. One was a YouTube video. I really can't attest to that one. But the one from the pastor that I knew, I'm fairly certain that he was telling the truth. But I have witnesses of my own as well. Many years ago, my husband and I both worked delivery out of our car. And we weren't all that close to each other while we were working, but it was really early in the morning, and I had this feeling, this voice telling me to call my husband. Call my husband. And I didn't listen. I was not in a very good service area, and I would have had to have stopped right where I was without moving. I thought, no, I'll wait a few minutes. Farther down the road, I'll be able to continue working while I'm on the phone. So I didn't call. Well, 5 minutes later, before I got to the good service area, my husband called me. He fell asleep at the wheel and wrecked his car into a guardrail that came up through his windshield, like this close to his head. But he was okay. He bruised his ribs. He was sore. Car was totaled, but he was okay. If I had called him when I was told to call him, I would have woken him up. Would have got him talking. A lot of times we make excuses for not following what we're told because it may not seem like a big deal. It may seem silly, like standing on your head in a 7-Eleven. Like, why? Why would God want me to stand on my head in a 7-Eleven? Maybe because someone in there prayed for it. Why should I call my husband right now when it would be inconvenient when I could call him in 10 minutes? Because he needs you now. I try and always listen to that voice. Sometimes I'm afraid, of embarrassment or sounding silly or people not liking what I have to say. But I try and follow that voice. You could save someone's life and not even realize it. You could help someone get through a hard time and not even realize it. I have a couple other times, I don't know if, well, I suppose it was God put me there at the right time. But it wasn't that I was hearing a voice. It wasn't that, I just had this strange feeling or thing. It just happened. I was driving. It was like early weekend morning. Sun was out, shining, it was warming up, it was a pretty day. And I was going up this hill. And it was like a slow curve around this hill. I'm going up. And as I'm like partway through, there's a car upside down on the other side that was headed down the hill. No one else around. I think it was a Saturday morning. It could have been Sunday. But nobody else around. This has just happened. I didn't see it happen, but it must have just happened. So I pulled up ahead of her car in the opposite lane with my flashers on. That way, if any car coming down the hill flying too fast and then going around the turn, they'd hit my car before hers. So I pulled up there and I went back, and it was a teenager. She was so worried that her parents would be mad because she wrecked the car. She's like freaking out. I'm like, listen, I'm a mom. They're just gonna be okay that you're all right. She wasn't hurt, but she was freaked out. Definitely. I mean, I've never flipped a car, but I imagine that would be quite scary. I've been in accidents, but I've never flipped a car. But her car is in the ditch and upside down, and a couple more people did stop, and we were all trying to open the door to get her out, but we couldn't get it the way it was like in the ditch because couldn't open the door past the little cup that the hood was in, basically. But I let her use my phone, and she called her dad. She couldn't find her phone, you know. But I held her hand, and I talked to her, and I listened to her, you know, and we waited for the ambulance to come and the cops to come. And I just held her hand and comforted her, or tried to. When the ambulance got there, I had to move because my car was in the way. So I did say goodbye and I had to go. And there wasn't anywhere to like park because it was literally just like one lane on the uphill side and 2 lanes on the downhill side. And, you know, ditch, nothing else. Like, I was parked in the middle of the road, well, on the side of the road, but in the road to be able to stop and help her. And, you know, I've been thinking about her the rest of the day. I wanted to know, you know, if she was all right. Because sometimes, you know, injuries can show up later. You know, you got adrenaline flowing. But later that evening, I got a call from a strange number because I had let her use my phone. My phone came up on the caller ID. And it was her father who was calling to thank me for helping her and letting me know that she was okay. Don't know what her name was, you know. I think I asked it at the time, but this was like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's been a while. But, you know, I prayed for her and I wanted to know how it turned out. Was she okay? And he called to tell me. It wasn't a voice telling me to go that way or something. That was just, that's the way I was going. It was the way I normally went, you know, on that route. But I was in the right place at the right time. And I had been, I was actually running late. Because I was doing something. I was like, I'll be late. It'll be all right. And then, well, I was really late after that. But if I had been earlier, I wouldn't have been there. I would have been through there before she wrecked. So I was supposed to be there. I was supposed to help her. And it always left an impression with me. I also like try and be nice and helpful or listen to everybody. There was a time that I was stuck taking a bus. I didn't have a car. And, you know, I don't like taking the bus. It's a pain in the butt. It's, you know, harder to get where you need to go. Buses generally don't go exactly where you need to go. But they'll get you closer, but on their time. And it takes a long time to go through their routes, depending on where you're at. You know, it's not a great bus system in this area anyway. But not a major metropolitan area. But one day I got on the bus and I was headed home, and you know, this lady in the seat in front of me, she just started talking to me. Polite, you know, talk back. She was telling me about her health. She was an older lady and talking about how her health was getting better and the things that she had been going through, you know, and I talked to her and I listened to her, and then she's like, I want to thank you for helping me through this. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I am who you think I am. Like, I don't think I've met you before. And she's like, oh, no, it was you. And it was a while back. Like, this was like one of the last times I rode the bus. And she was referencing like one of the earlier times that I rode the bus. So it had been several months. She was like, no. It was you. you were talking to me on the bus and about her health, and I had apparently comforted her, and it gave her that boost of when you know you're not alone in the world, and it really left an impression on her and helped her. And I didn't even remember doing it. I was just being kind. So you never know who you could help. You may help someone that's on the proverbial ledge and you don't even know it. You may help someone who's struggling and just needs to feel that they're not alone. You could be doing something that you think is silly and it could change someone's whole world. Like standing on your head. Or you could help someone who's just had a car accident and they're more worried about their parents being mad at them than whether they're injured. If you keep your heart open, you can hear when God tells you to do something or to go somewhere, or to don't go yet, or hurry up and go sooner. And if you listen, you can help other people. Like one person can make a difference. Because when you make a difference with one person, that spreads. It's contagious. Love is contagious. And we're supposed to love our neighbors as much as ourselves, if not more than ourselves. And we're supposed to help, not just the ones that you know, help strangers. So listen to that voice. But you gotta have your heart open. Because I think God talks to everybody. I really do. But I think most of us don't have our heart open to listen and dismiss it as just a weird thought. But I encourage you to open your heart and listen. You just might save a life and make a real difference. But watching the YouTube videos last night, it just reminded me of that, and I felt I needed to talk about my witnesses, at least some of them. And I don't know, maybe somebody else needs encouraged. May the Father bless you all. May you all open your hearts and listen and do. Shalom.